Well, we are live. Hello, everybody. Laura Garwood, thank you for the teal pair starting us off the right way. Everyone else, let's start us off the right way. Denver sucks in the chat, will not explain. Not open for discussion either. So, before you guys start asking too many questions, before we start super chatting stuff, I'm going to describe where we are right now, what we are still expecting on the way, and then we can get to everything. So, if you'll recall, this morning we reported that there are indeed 6 solar storms on the way. A couple of them have hit already. We are in a level 5 storm condition. For those of you who decided not to look at the title of this video, that just cropped up in the last couple of minutes. I'm going to be describing this to you here. Let me go and get the most recent data and information. So, while I was live on a Twitter space with Alex Jones, while I was literally speaking on the space, the first CME struck. I know a lot of you guys were listening in. It happened literally while we were live on the call. And literally within minutes, the geomagnetic storm began. It reached level 4, and it appears it was the combination of the first 2 of the 6 coronal mass ejections. Had a really good time with Alex Jones. That was a really fun time. Then I went on Dark Horse with Brett Weinstein. That was really fun. By that point, the solar storms had reached level 4, which is the next to highest, KP8. And we had a great discussion, not only about the solar storms today and what we were expecting, but how it fits into the larger picture with Earth's weakening magnetic field. We are in the magnetic pole shift right now, the geomagnetic excursion. If you'll recall this morning, we had said that we definitely expect to hit these level 4 storms. There was a chance we could hit level 5. And there was also a little chance, although not enough to say it was officially expected, of the solar kill shot. I still think we are going to get through this weekend, all 6 blasts, and not have the kill shot. I am sticking to that forecast. However, the third CME struck about 3 hours ago, and it has pushed us up into that level 5 storm condition. For those of you who saw the midday video, the magnetic pulse that hit our planet, I've never seen anything like it. The geoelectric field, the magnetic perturbations, the magnetometers, they just went completely bananas. It was quite the thing. It really was quite the thing. So I'm coming back to the chat here right now. Let me see, what do we have here? Kicking us off, Joe Peterson says, where there is no vision, the people perish. 2918. Thank you, Ben, for opening eyes. Very much appreciated. Yeah, I think we opened quite a number of eyes between the space weather news that we have to report between Alex Jones and Brett Weinstein appearances today. Never had this many new subscribers or this many views in one day. We actually just eclipsed 750,000 subscribers, 750,000, something we've been waiting for a while. Next big benchmark on the list is 250 million views. That'll probably be in another 2 months or so. Zach says, I saw you on Two Witnesses live last night. Yeah, that was also a fun show. Of course, there was no salt with those guys. Fun time. My goodness, the chat is off the charts. Tennessee, hoping to see auroras. Absolutely. Yeah, so the UK is getting phenomenal auroras. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the pictures. I've had a bunch of people sending them to me on X, Twitter, and it just looks absolutely fantastic right now. Boy, it's going to take a lot to keep up with this. It's going to take a lot to keep up with this chat with how fast it's moving. Anyway, so that's where we are. The first 3 of the 6 CMEs have made impact. We are at level 5 geomagnetic storm conditions. And also, as expected tonight, no solar kill shot. We're still here, but the localized and up to regional level disruptions of networks and other systems is taking place. Several different gaming networks are having major issues. Coinbase, the crypto base, has been having a ton of issues, and they almost never have any downtime whatsoever. See what else were I'm like forgetting them. Amazon Web Service had issues. Pinterest had issues. Snapchat has issues. Disney Plus has issues. Sirius XM Radio is actually having the most issues of all. Of course, that is satellite radio. So this is affecting satellites and ground-based networks. Heck, the United States Postal Service website went down for a good bit today. So we are seeing literally exactly what we've been expecting to see. And I think this should continue. Pete Benson, our friend, driving the Valley today. People are completely bug nuts dangerous. I don't want to see what happens when the others hit. I'm kind of curious to see. Ben, can you please sell us high resolution pictures of your feet? Bruv, what? Does anybody have any questions about solar flares or the solar storm or anything like that? Can you quantify your concern? Is there a DEFCON system for CME? Steve, did you see the videos earlier today, specifically the morning news show or the one last night? I believe I quantified and qualitatively described very exactly what the concern is, including everything that we could be expecting to see. If we were at KP4 or 5, so we're not at KP4 or 5, we're at KP9. It's a little confusing. Level 1, the lowest level geomagnetic storm, starts at KP5. Where we are now is KP9, and that's a level 5 geomagnetic storm. Now, the Carrington event was certainly a level 5 storm, but that's only because it doesn't go any higher than level 5. If there was such thing as a level 6, maybe the Carrington event would have reached that. But also don't forget, there's a 10x difference, the difference between 10 and 100, the difference between 1,000 and 10,000 in between the storm levels. And so we just barely reached up and touched level 5 in the last hour and a half or so. And so that's where we are at the moment right now. Yes, I do think we are going to stay at geomagnetic storm levels throughout the weekend. I don't know if we're going to stay at this high of a storm level. It'll really depend on when the last 3 CMEs make their impact. Of course, we'll be watching for that. Ramaya says, will we see lights in Florida? What are the chances? There's no way to know. The auroras are such a ridiculously unpredictable thing at this point. And the auroral maps that they put out, those aren't even based on observations. Those are based on models. And what we have seen over the last year and a half or so is that the actual auroral sightings are blowing the models out of the water. It's part of shattering the auroral record last year, which of course is due to the fact that Earth's magnetic field is weakening. All right, let's keep up with the chat here. In the event of a Noah-like flood, how many feet above sea level would a person need to be to stay safe? Depends on where you are in the world and how far away you are from the coastline. Should we turn off personal devices such as cell phones? No, you don't need to do any of that. You don't need to do any of that. How weak is the magnetic field? Any projections for lights out? So the magnetic field is probably down about 25, 30%, maybe up to 35% down, which would be, if it's 35% down, we're at 65% full strength. Any projections for lights out? That's the one thing that can't be predicted. I can predict when the geomagnetic reversal is actually going to occur. But things like what we're in right now, this is unpredictable. Nobody can tell when the sun is going to decide to throw a conniption and just fire a bunch of coronal mass ejections at us. And so we do expect something like that to happen before the actual magnetic pole flip. But exactly when, whether that's sometime later this year or whether that's a couple of weeks before the excursion, it's really just hard to say. You're very welcome, Denise. Good to see you. Ben, are you experiencing any physiological effects? No, I'm a tank. I don't experience things. I'm not a product of my environment. My environment is a product of me. I almost feel high. Well, good for you. That's lovely. So energetic and giddy. I'm in Florida and no auroras yet, but hoping we'll get lucky. Thanks so much for all you do, man. I'm really glad to see you on Brett's show. It was really a treat. Right on. I did enjoy Brett's show. That was fun. I enjoyed both the shows I went on. Maybe going on InfoWars on Monday, by the way. But anyway, so, all right. So here's something interesting. It says NOAA just dropped to G1. Yes and no. So here's what happens. They add up the magnetic disruptions that occur over a 3-hour period, and that's how we get the KP marks. We just ended the last 3-hour period a couple of minutes ago. So it's already starting to build back up again. And so it's not the best system, but it's what they do right now. And the other thing is these geomagnetic storms fluctuate quite a bit while they are ongoing. And so in terms of adding up the magnetic disruptions here at the beginning of the 3-hour period, yes, perhaps it's only added up to a G1. Something tells me in the next 3 hours that's going to change quite a bit. Scrolling. Up next, Southern Aurora going off there in Tasmania. That's awesome. I also heard it's visible in mainland Australia, which is pretty cool. Let's be honest, that's pretty cool. Boy, it's hard to keep up with all this. Alex Jones seemed very confused. He was being alarmist, saying this was the biggest storm recorded. Hilarious when you left his show to respond to NASA. Yeah. I felt bad. The moment I started talking on Alex Jones' show today, one of my favorite Sun guys over at NASA started texting me furiously, and I was literally just ignoring him for 15 straight minutes. But, you know, I don't know if Alex Jones was necessarily confused. Like, this is not his thing. I think he did a pretty good job with the show. A lot of the information that he was giving out, even before I started talking, really wasn't bad at all. I thought Alex Jones did a great job today. So did Brett Weinstein. Darla says, just saw NOAA brief. Someone asked what a person should be doing, and he said nothing. They should have a plan to be prepared for something like this. Since when did anyone but you tell us that? Yeah, well, I'm at least glad NOAA's saying that. I mean, yes, there's a little part of me that's like, hello, I've been saying this forever. But at the same time, I'm not going to be angry that our official government agency is telling people, hey, maybe you need to get prepared. Like, what kind of wacko would I be when they finally start saying what I want them to say, what I've wanted them to say for years? Do you think the series of CMEs will kick the magnetic excursion into a more rapid acceleration? It's a good question. I guess we'll have to see, really. It's possible. We have obviously seen that with magnetic storms in the past. Then again, we've seen geomagnetic storms not really move that needle, and it just sort of stays on its current course. So we won't really know for a while. Azer says, guess the Sun decided to answer my question about multiple consecutive CMEs with a live demonstration. It sure did. Woke up and chose violence a couple days ago. Alex Jones will not help your reputation. Absent-minded. What reputation? What high esteem do you think the scientific field holds me in? Let me tell you something. The reputation Alex Jones has, the reputation Brett Weinstein has for what he says about COVID and the vaccines, the reputation that Andrew and Tristan Tate has, that's a badge of honor. When the mainstream loves you, when mainstream scientists are fawning over you, you f***ing up, okay? Enough of that, absent-minded. What kind of reputation you got with a name like that? I don't want to hear crap like that. You take flack when you're over the target. If it hits overnight, will that lessen the impact for North America? No. These are global events. And if you saw the midday video I posted, and when you see the magnetic perturbation map that I'm going to show in the mornings as well, the most powerful magnetic perturbation of all of this was actually through the Pacific Ocean, and that was lasting several hours. It has nothing to do with which side is facing the Earth. It just has to do with how the energy comes in, how the auroral electrojet is excited, and where it decides to make its break southward into, you know, where most people live, mid-latitudes. But no, that won't have any effect at all about what part of Earth takes the strongest impacts. Somebody said, what's NASA saying? Literally nothing. They've said nothing about this all day. What items beyond food prep would you recommend? Faraday cages seem not useful. No, I don't recommend Faraday cages. Food, water, guns, bullets, extra clothes, blankets, things you're going to need in case you lose power to deal with the climate. And then on a longer time scale, things like seeds, pre-industrial tools, building materials, books on how to survive, more guns, more ammo, things like that. All of that is what is needed. Getting salty already. How far away are we from K10? There's no such thing as a KP10 event. Would it be possible to get a still very painful, less than lethal shot from the sun that takes out like 20% of Transformers? Yes. The most likely scenario before we see the kill shot is that there are major regional disruptions. Now, we are getting regional disruptions, but they're of individual networks and systems instead of entire power grids. Just kind of is what it is. And I'm very thankful for that, by the way. This is precisely what we were forecasting last night, precisely what we forecasted this morning, that we would be getting that less than kill shot, but still relevant from a technological perspective, solar storm. Of course, we're only halfway through the impact so far, and we're going to keep watching. But so far, this is more or less what we were expecting, which is never really a bad thing. Any thoughts on what at the big guy will look like when it comes back around? You know, I don't know. This sunspot is beginning to depart the Earth-facing half of the sun. It could fully decay. It could come back around even bigger. There's no way to really guess what a sunspot is going to do as it's turning around the far side of the sun. Of course, we are going to be watching for it. Earthquakes, question mark. Volcanoes, question mark. I mean, the statistical correlations say that we should be getting an uptick in those over the next 10, 15, up to 30 days. I haven't been looking at earthquakes and volcanoes today, but I do know that, in general, we should be seeing an uptick in the tectonic aspect of this in the coming days, although that is not as acute and rapidly developing as the technological or meteorological or physiological or psychological impacts of these. And if you don't know what those are, I can see you skipped last night's video. Not necessarily talking to the person who made that comment, but pink aurora all over Poland. Yep, Barbie Land. Bet it was pretty though. Withdrawn all my funds, but kept some for this chat. What do you do with all your funds? You put them under your mattress? How would this impact solar panels with batteries? This event, I don't know if it will. It could. When the big one comes eventually, whether that be a big one from the sun or the fact that Earth's magnetic field is weakened to a certain degree, solar panels are toast. Absolutely toast. They're not going to make it. Okay. All right. I can see. Do you think this is the beginning of the end of the Earth facing quiet? I don't know. That might be pushing it. Still curious. You're saying we are currently at the same KP as the Carrington event. So what was different at that time if the KP is the same? All right, turd burglar, did you not hear me say there's a 10x difference? And if there was such a thing as a KP10 or a level 6 storm, the Carrington event would have probably qualified. The Carrington event, based on the magnetic disruption, which we have data for with the magnetometers, was about 10 times as powerful as what we've seen right now. That's the answer to your question. Some people are seeing the aurora as far south as Rome. That's cool. Uh-oh. Can you guys still see me here? All right, so it says something just glitched out for me right here. I don't know. Can you guys see me or hear me? Okay. Something just glitched out on my side. The entire thing went blank there for a little bit. And it's just doing it again. That's annoying. Holy moly. Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys can still see me and hear me because, boy, that's an annoying glitch. Okay, so, wow. This chat needs to be slowed down somehow. How do I do that? I have no idea how to slow down this chat. All right, I understand you can see me, and I see people saying slow mode. I don't know what slow mode is. I don't know how to do that. I've heard the internet will get glitchy. Oh, where did you hear that? Like one of my videos? DJ Cole, you got a good point. He says your followers need not concern themselves with the floods from the pole flip when it happens. If they're not prepping now, they won't be prepared. Yeah, if you're not in the process of preparing for the catastrophe and the world not coming back, you're way behind. Just way behind. It is what it is. When I initially asked, compared to our current storms KP, was it compared to the Carrington event? And you said it was the same. I just want to hear more from you. Okay, Turd Burglar, but I explained it while I was saying it, that it's as high as it gets. They don't have a higher ranking than this. That does not mean that everything that hits this highest ranking is exactly the same. It just means they don't have anything higher on the chart than this. That's literally all it means. All right. I'm going to check in on the data real fast. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the good news. The level 5 storm lasted about 2.5 hours, and it does appear we have dropped back down to probably around a level 4 or level 3 storm. Now, these things reverberate quite a bit. And by the way, NOAA already says we're back up to a level 3 storm. So this is that additive thing I was talking about. They reverberate quite a bit. We should expect the geomagnetic storm levels to drop and then come back up. But as of right now, we still have the initial impact, which was the first 2 CMEs combined. And we had the second impact, which is probably only the third CME. So we still have the remaining 3 CMEs coming. By the way, if I'm missing any of your super chats, you're going to have to apologize. I hope you can look at this and see what's happening here. It's not possible to... In your opinion, what made the Carrington event so intense that it set telegraphs on fire? Because it was an X80 solar flare. It was an X80. They are not comparative events. The only reason this one has any chance of being anywhere near it is because Earth's magnetic field is weakening. If this was 20 years ago, if this was 10 years ago, all I would be saying is, hey, we could get some aurora. Look out for the northern lights. I wouldn't be worried about regional network and system outages. I wouldn't be giving a 10% chance of a kill shot. The main difference is Earth's magnetic field is weakening like crazy right now. Turd Burglar. Put slow mode on your chat, please, and talk about the KP index effects on the body. Snafu, I'm not going to do that. I went over that last night. Like I said, if you didn't watch last night's video or, you haven't been paying attention to stuff like that, this right now is not the moment to go back and do relatively basic level stuff. If we have questions about the storm we have right now and other data related to that, the information on how this affects the cardiovascular system, autoimmune disorders, the nervous system, all kinds of emotional instability, cognitive decline, diminishment of motor skills. I've gone over that ad nauseum. And if you are somebody who's going to get hit by that, nothing you can do about it now. He said there's nothing going on in Hawaii. I'm really glad to hear that. But have you been checking every network on the internet? I don't know what you expect there in Hawaii. You got me keen to the power of the sun. So saying this is the first time I have seen the MSM saying anything about the sun and how it can make pretty lights in the sky. I mean, I've seen them report on stuff before, but they usually are terrible. The mainstream media is absolutely terrible on reporting like this. Somebody says, wow, you are glitching. I don't know what you mean. Yeah, I'm glitching or the internet is glitching because we're in a level 5 solar. God bless. Literally, 90% of you. 90% of you are amazing. There's like 10% of you. Just quit now. Just turn off this feed. Go watch the Kardashian. You ain't going to make it. Seriously. Great googly moogly. All right, so look, it's impossible to keep up with everything that's going on here. Literally impossible. So here's what I'm going to say. All right, I'll answer this one. If the scale stops at KP9 and G5, what numbers do we follow to see what's happening, or do we just drink until the power goes out? You look at the magnetometer, the GOES magnetometer. So, for example, the GOES magnetometer today had a deviation down to about negative 150, negative 200, negative 169. That's a pretty powerful event. You start getting to negative 250, negative 300 or higher, grids are going to start going down. Maybe not globally, but grids are going to start going down at that point. You're certainly going to have transformers exploding. So we certainly got strong enough that we are seeing literally, as we mentioned at the start of the show, dozens of networks and systems are either going down or glitching already. That's already happening. We got about 60% of the way to where you're guaranteed to have some power grids go down as well. And that doesn't mean that they won't still. Don't forget, we've got 3 more impacts coming. But I would say that that's probably how you should look at it. The other thing is, and I don't really know if this is the case, if they will give us a higher rating than the 9. So like, let's say that they can detect something above 9. I don't know if they have a way to even communicate that to us. Right now, the auroral forecast says that it should be visible tonight in Colorado, Nebraska, Missouri, the I-states, Pennsylvania. And again, of course, that is the modeled auroral forecast, and who knows if that is actually going to be correct. They always seem to outdo the auroral forecast these days. Anyway, so guys, I'm thinking I'm going to give up on trying to answer your individual questions here. And what I'm going to say is this. We should expect these regional systems and network glitches to continue throughout the evening. Electrical fires, it's too early to get that data, but I would expect all night and throughout the weekend, there's going to be globally a 5 to 20 X increase in the number of electrical fires. And these system glitches and network glitches are going to continue. There is a very good chance, especially if these last 3 CMEs hit relatively quickly and don't wait for, say, Sunday night, that we are going to see power grids going down as well. I don't mean the solar kill shot, the global EMP, but selected failures of those systems. Like what happened in 2003. 2003, the Halloween storms was our last KP9 level 5 geomagnetic storm. Wasn't a global kill shot, wasn't a global EMP, but there were dozens of non-weather related outages in the United States and Canada. There were several transformers that exploded in Sweden and Norway. And there were entire regional power grids that went down in South Africa. That's probably what's on deck if these last 3 CMEs hit, again, before Sunday night. If they manage to pop in here, even better. Who's trying to FaceTime me right now? Like I'm going to answer that. Jeez. But anyway, folks, we have a lot going on. It's been an exciting day. And did I mention Denver sucks? Denver sucks so bad. Anyway, I'm going to keep watching until I go to sleep. First thing I do when I wake up is I'm going to check all of the data. And of course, I will be back in the morning to break down everything that has happened and where we are. I'm also waiting for Soho to update because it looks like we may have had a filament eruption today, which could be number 7 on the way to Earth. Anyway. Oh, there's an interesting question. Did we have an update from the Swarm mission? They didn't give any relevant information about the strength of the magnetic field. There was some there. They did ask, and they were mum. All they did say was the magnetic field is still weakening. That was all they said. So, again, we hit level 5. I had only given that about a 30% chance, but we did hit that level. I think there's a very good chance we will remain in the high geomagnetic storm category throughout the weekend. Of course, the faster that those remaining 3 CMEs get here, the higher the storms will be, the more outages, the more system glitches, network problems we're going to experience. I am sticking with my initial forecast that this is not going to be the solar kill shot. This is not the global EMP. But this is a pretty solid whack. This is a pretty solid whack. And so I guess I'm off to diagnose more data. Somebody's saying we just hit negative 265 on the GOES magnetometer. Let me see if that is accurate. I don't see that anywhere. Oh, earlier I see we got as far as negative 225 nanotesla, but I'm not seeing what you're seeing there. Let me just refresh the page here. Holy cow, my internet is so slow right now. What do I pay them for? Apparently not fast access to data during major solar storms. Right. Well, when my internet allows me to, I will check that. Let me check and see if any other networks have gone down. Ooh. Whoa. Pinterest having major problems. Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, major problems. You're just going to screenshot all of that, right, Joe? Hello. Sirius satellite radio starting to come back a little bit. That's nice. That's nice. Wobble, wobble. Oh, I see it there. Negative 267. About, we may get, I see a 266 and a 267 there. All right. We're going to cut it off here. I'm going to be checking this and seeing. We're back up to level 4 storms, by the way. This is that additive level over the 3-hour window. Makes me wonder if, oh my goodness, we're not even an hour into the 3-hour window. I wonder if we're going to get back to G5. Anyway, solar storms are continuing. You don't need to freak out. You don't need to bug out. You don't need to be unplugging all your devices, especially since if it's strong enough that it's going to fry the grids, you're not going to use those devices anymore anyway. So what does it really matter? I will be keeping track of these magnetic disruptions. Oh, the BZ tipped south, way south. Ugh. -50 on the BZ right now if you look at the solar wind. That's not peanuts, Mike. All right, guys. This is serious. This is significant. But again, remember, let me see if I can pull this up here. If this was 10 years ago, maybe we get a G3 or G4 event from this. This was 20 years ago, maybe G2, G3. What we're seeing right now, I mean, there's not an insignificant solar event, but the only reason it's this serious, oh, and now they're saying we're back up to G5. No, not yet. The only reason we're talking about it this seriously is because of how much Earth's magnetic field is weakening. So I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this here. So let me see. You guys actually see this? So this is the KP index right now. And you can see that last red bar is the level 5 KP9 event. There's no chance this happens with this. So even if there's multiple impacts, even though we've had 3 impacts already, we've got 3 more coming. Probably not just from X1 solar flares. That's just the way it is. The big story here is that this solar storm matters because Earth's magnetic field is weakening. We are in the magnetic pole shift. Turd Burglar, are you yelling at me to find your last message after I said I was done doing these chats? And dude, you've like monopolized so much of the time here. I've answered 4 of your chats already. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry, but there's simply no way to keep up with all of this. It's been way too much. Anyway, I'll be back in the morning. You don't need to freak out. My eyes are on this. If there is anything serious that happens from here on out, though I don't know what could possibly happen, that would be serious enough. I mean, we're already expecting some system glitches, some network problems. And if it's big enough that it's the kill shot, I'm not going to be able to come talk to you. But yeah. I'll see you guys in the morning for the daily show. I think I'm going on InfoWars on Monday. Hopefully that works well. Other than that, I will see you guys in the morning for the daily show. Be safe, everyone.